What's happening, fishing friends? Welcome to another episode. Out in the garage today, we're gonna do some tackle making, but first we're gonna do some tackle customization. So y'all have seen me make these, the weedless round head jig mold, you know, the Finesse jig from Do It. Made some of those, sent them out to some folks to try. Awesome little jig, awesome little finesse jig with kind of a lighter wire hook, but a few of the people that I sent them out to said they wanted something with a little bit heavier wire hook, and I know Randall and I have talked about it. We want a finesse jig, but a short, stocky, stout finesse jig, kind of like that War Eagle heavy finesse jig, so check this out. Both of these are the hooks that we use for that finesse jig. Now you can see the hook on the right is a much heavier wire hook. You can see there, especially where the point comes in. Heavier wire, honestly a lot easier to see when you turn it like that. You see it's on the left now, sorry. That hook is a lot heavier of a wire, and that's what I want for these, something stout. We can fish on a medium heavy bait caster and not worry about bending that thicker hook out. I think the regular is a 32798 hook number. This is a 10796. Now they tell you that this mold specifically, when you go to buy it, does not fit these bigger hooks, right? So when you put it in, well, let me show you. When you try to put that heavier wire 4/0 hook in here and close it up, that should close all the way. There should not be any space. You see that? You can see how there's a little crack. The light shows through on back there. Yeah, it's not a good thing. But I was talking to my dude Kuda on Jig Squad, and he said if it's just a little small adjustment like this, he's actually done it. I can take these, put a block on it, put a block under it so I don't crack whatever I'm pounding it on, and then take a hammer and hammer it, persuade it, gently persuade it to shut. I must say, warning, do not try this at home. I am a trained professional with at least minutes of experience. Do not do this without supervision. I do not accept any responsibility for your actions or messed up molds. All right, there you can see I've got my mold loaded up. I've got two of the heavier wire 4/0 and the smaller, the 5/16 and 3/8, and then I put a 5/0 heavy wire and the 7/16. So let's see. Put a block down here to protect it. I'm gonna put a block on top that I'm actually hitting with my my 4-pound persuader here. Hopefully this gives us enough room to shut this tightly. Now, listen, I know there's other cleaner ways of doing this with the Dremel and stuff, but we're gonna try the persuasion method first. All right, here's the finished product. This is why I stress to you all, I'm not a trained professional. The 5/16 and 3/8 work perfectly fine. When I tried those two in there, worked perfect. It will now accept this bigger hook. This guy, however, I noticed it didn't want to shut, and then when I checked, you can see that somewhere in my hammering, my hook got offline and actually is next to the side of it here, and it made its own little path. Randy and I use them shallow fishing up on the rocks and such, so it's okay. I'm not even going to worry about the 1/2 ounce. 3/16, maybe 3/8. Randy does kind of like that one, but I think this will work fine when I closed it with the 5/16 and 3/8. Listen, you want to hear that good click sound? Close enough. Okay, so we can see on the 3/8 there's some flashing around it. You see that the little flat part? It's not shutting tight enough. Oh, there we go, money. 5/16 looks perfect. Let's see if we can persuade that 3/8 a little bit more. Okay, I gave that 3/8 another couple smacks with the persuader. Now let's listen, see if it shuts. Still not quite. I wonder if it's when both of those are loaded in. Hold on. Okay, there we go again with the 3/8. Just a tiny bit of flashing, maybe just a little bit more persuasion. There is our 3/8, and that time it poured perfectly fine. Now there's just a little bit of a deal here. I can clip that off and clean it up, but the rest of it poured absolutely awesome. Yes! Give the 3/8 a try again. Perfect. You know what? It looks like they run a little bit cleaner when you do them one at a time. Not an issue. I mean, you can burn through a few of these in just a few minutes doing one at a time. And it's my own special DEBO heavy finesse jig mold. Love it. All right, so you can see on our persuasion board here, you can kind of see the progress of when I was banging that shut. The first one had a ton of flashing, looked like absolute crap. Second one still had a little bit of flashing, needed to pound it together a little bit more to make sure none of that was coming out the sides. And the third one, pretty much there. I hit it just a couple more times after this one. And that solved it. We've got some awesome little heavy finesse jigs just like those. Now, it's time to paint. Okay, so for the painting process, I start out by putting on some of this. This is some heat shrink tubing. I got some of the smaller stuff. I had 1/4 inch before and it was way too big. So I got a couple of the smaller sizes and this fits absolutely perfect. As you can see there, already has a good fit on it without me even heating it. And it's a 3-to-1 shrink, which means it's gonna shrink 3 to 1 sizes down, 3 times the first of its size. And I'll show you what I mean. Anyway, we're gonna heat this up with the heat shrink tube on it, get the lead all hot. We're gonna dip it in our powder and paint. It's super easy. If you check out the first Finesse jig video I did, I really go in depth on all this. This one we're gonna kind of go quick and do a montage music-y thing. Alright, so it's the second day here. You can see I did get all of these baked. This is the first batch. I've got a few more to do still, but I did something a little bit different. And again, I think this was Kuda that said this, was instead of hanging them like this from the hook, where you hang it like that, if you get a little bit too much paint on it, it tends to drip and sag at the front here. So you get like a big like ball or spot on the front. Just looks crappy. So instead, I took some wire that I had laying around and hung them all from the grates like this. So my little toaster oven deal here, used the wire, hung them like this. That way, if there's any extra paint, in theory, it should all run down, you know, the side toward the plastic keeper. And what I noticed from every single one of these, looking at my whole batch, nothing had any sag spots. It seemed to work 1,000 times better. So just a little tip, if you get that little like nub or little sagging spot, if you've been hanging them upside down on the hook like this. Another cool thing I wanted to show you was the shrink tubing. This has been an absolute savior. So you can see, you take that shrink tubing, this is the 1/4 inch. This is whatever that smaller one was. Again, that's going to be nice for when you have a little bit smaller eyes on the hooks. Heat that on there just like so, and then once your tubing is done and hot on there, you've dipped it, you just take this, wiggle it back and forth a little bit, and you can see you've got a super clean eye. You don't have to worry about cleaning the paint out of all that. It's such an awesome time saver. Clip these, heat it on when you're dipping your paint, and done. Okay, last up comes tying the skirt and finishing the jig. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways. You can either use like a little fly tying vise like this. You can see here you can adjust how big or small this is. Put your hook in there, and this is how a lot of guys do it who tie with thread. I tie with wire. I honestly don't use one of these, but I'm going to show you both ways so you can pick. So for this first one, I'm going to take some June bug colored strips here. You can see it's like blackish purple. It kind of changes in the light there, and it's got some purple tips on it. Now you have to remember, depending on where you put this skirt is going to kind of give you different looks. And you can see, because some of these skirts are tipped, some of them are solid, and then some are like this cool multicolored metallic. There's all kinds of skirts. You can go to like, of course, Do It has them. You can go to fishingskirts.com, something like that. Tons of different places where you can get skirts, or they call them tabs like this. They usually sell them in like packs of 10 or 50, something like that. In the past, I had used just a regular 22 gauge wire, and this stuff worked absolutely awesome. Never broke or anything. So that's what I had normally used. This 22 gauge seems a little bit smaller, so I might go to like a 21 or 20 gauge, which should be a little bit thicker. I don't know if it's because it's got a coating on it or what, but we're going to try this. Okay, so you need a pair of nippers so you can cut your wire, a pair of scissors so you can cut your skirt, and last, a pair of pliers so you can twist the wire. So unlike doing the thread tying where I'm tying it and such, this is just a wire. I twist it and you're good to go. I honestly really like this. It's super easy. People have said it can catch more, but I kind of tuck it down, and I'll even show you with the plastic on. I don't think it makes a difference. So throw my skirts on here and hold it. I'm going to put my wire around it, and I'm going to go really loose. I'm going to hold it, put it all the way up here to the front of the ball where that ball starts here. That way I can get a good tight wrap close to the head. And I'm going to go around this 3 times. So I've got 1, 2, and I want to keep these as close together as I can. That way when I cinch it down, all of these little coils here, maybe you can see it a little bit of that way. All these coils here, I want these all to be touching together and squished together with no space or no pieces of skirt in there. So I'm going to take my wires on the bottom, twist them together just enough to hold it. I'm not tightening it yet. Remember, I don't want to tighten it all the way down yet. This is where I call it loose, and then I'm going to lock it down when I have all this in order. And actually, this one looks pretty darn good. So what I'm doing is spinning this vise. This is the nice part about the vise. I can spin this and make sure I've got skirt showing all around. What I don't want is for it to get done and look like this, a whole bunch of skirt on one side, then I turn it to the other side and there's like a whole empty piece here where no skirt got on it. I want to make sure there's skirt all the way around. Give my skirt a little tug here to make sure there's nothing wrapped in between those coils. I'm going to grab this from the bottom and pull. And that's kind of what I call locking down that wire. That way I know my skirt's not going anywhere. So that's what I call this being locked down. You can see all those pieces of wire are laying right next to each other. There's no gaps in it. There's no pieces of skirt sticking in there. That's what you want. So then I just hold it like this in my hand and start twisting my pliers. This would probably be easier if you used a pair of channel locks where it locked them, but I just keep pressure on it and keep spinning this. You don't want to spin it too tight, and that's another reason why I go with like that. And that's a look at our final product. So you can see it's all tightened all the way down there. It doesn't take very much. Now I cut it off and gosh, I don't know what the length would be. Maybe, what is that? Maybe 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to cut it off like that, and that's all I'm going to leave there. Just a little piece like that. And I'm going to bend it down on the bottom. Now when I say I don't really think this piece of wire matters, it's not going to get hung up because, let me show you. I'm going to take both these pieces and hold them up like that. I'm going to trim right there just so there's a tiny bit of purple on the front. Oh, and I should have said I'm doing a finesse cut on these. You can do, you could have left it long and done more of a mop skirt, but these are going to be heavy finesse jigs. So I like that kind of finesse spider cut on these. And then on the back, I'm just going to kind of cut this in a V shape. So the center part is just a little bit shorter. So I like to cut them like this. Cut that middle part up there. So I call it the kind of the V cut. Maybe it makes no difference. Maybe it does make a difference, but I like it that way. Any trailer I've got here kind of fits in the middle, and then the skirt is a little bit longer on the sides. If I grab a trailer like this is the Campbell Craw Jr. from Thunderhawk. Thunderhawk was nice enough to jump on a live with me. Cool, nice little finesse trailer. I'm going to cut just a little bit off the front of it like that, and then put this on. Obviously, I don't have the weed guard on. Thread that on, and that is what it looks like. That is a pretty scrumptious little June bug treat. Now you can see here, what I mean is that wire part right there that I folded underneath, it sticks into the plastic trailer. So as long as you're running a trailer, that wire piece isn't sticking out anywhere. That's a hand-tied skirt, a hand-tied little finesse jig, and I think that's an awesome looking little lure. Now I went to do the weed guard last. These weed guards, they sell them. I forget the size. I'll link all this below to make it easier for you, but the mold tells you what size you need for this jig head. I put some super glue gel down in there. The gel is really nice because it's not super runny liquidy. Take my skirt, you can see the bottom end is all stuck together. That should be the exact diameter of the hole that's in my jig. Push that in there and boom, there we go. This just needs to dry and become solid, and there we go. That is the finesse jig. Super easy to do, a lot of fun, and I can't believe I've got a cool new heavy duty wire, heavy finesse jig, a little DEBO'S special June bug right there. All right, fishing friends, as always, I will be doing a giveaway. I'll put some of these jigs together for you and some trailers. I didn't go to my normal outro spot over there. Over here in the corner, you can see the Randizzle sponsor whiteboard. But anyway, comment below and let me know what your favorite part of this was. Do you like the making part, the putting together? You want to see me out fishing them, like do a one-day type thing? Ode to Marling Baits, where I make the bait and then go out and fish it, something like that. I mean, I don't know. Comment below and let me know. I love building this stuff, putting it together. It's a ton of fun, but let me know. Today's subscribe fishing friend is that old Basser, awesome guy on Instagram. Check him out. Oklahoma dude. Dude is always catching gigantic fish, good fish. I told him he should make a YouTube, and he's like, I tried it. It's too much work. Dude's always catching fish. Super nice guy. Check him out. And everybody else, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate the support. Thanks to Do It for partnering up with me this year. Again, I will link them below if you want to check any of this stuff out. Everybody else who watches and supports, it means a ton to me. But I got to get the rest of these tied, so thank you all for watching. Until next time.